Hey guys, Pete Ramsey here, HVAC Greatness. Oh, I got a good one for you today. So let's talk about something that is, in my opinion, probably your biggest obstacle for getting the success that you want out of your heating and air conditioning business. And stick with me at least for the first slide or two before you think, oh, I already know that. Because I guarantee you, I don't care who you are right now, where you are in your business watching this, I'm going to bring a perspective to this that you've never seen before. And it really is not that complicated, but yet it evades us all somehow. So let's talk real quick about that. So what is a brand? We know the big brands that are out there. You see Amazon with their logo from A to Z, everything from A to Z, but it's also a smirk or smile. We've got Orkin. They have that same long sleeve white shirt with the serious, with a tie and the serious professional going out there inspecting your home, keeping you safe, and so on and so forth. Texaco, Best Buy. I like to use the Best Buy example. I don't know if you know this, but do you know what the most compelling color combination is for consumers? It's blue and yellow. Isn't that interesting? So Best Buy uses that. But when you look into these different businesses, when you're on Amazon's website, everything it's researched to a level that you and I would never research things. Let's just put it that way. Nothing is by accident. When you go into Best Buy, the positioning of the merchandise, the space between the aisles, the free space on the side of the walls, and what is specifically placed on the walls, the imagery, the verbiage, everything is by design. And everything is designed to maximize that consumer experience. So most of us do this all wrong, and any branding agency will tell you this. What they do is they come up with a cool company name, and they come up with a cool slogan, and they can probably do this within about an hour. Then they go get a logo. Well, I got a brand, and they throw that on their website. They'll make a vehicle wrap out of that, and then next thing you know, they're on Google My Business, they're on all the social media platforms, and they got themselves a business. This is not a brand. Now, hear me out. I know you've done this because I did this too. We're here to take things to a new level. So why does this matter? If you're getting pushback from your customers, if you're getting pushback like, well, you know, the other company will put that same unit in for a lot less, or the other company only charges this, or why are you so high when the other companies are charging that? It's because they see you as a commodity. You're just a heating and air conditioning contractor, and all of you are the same. But if you have a brand and you have a different message and you offer a different version of this quote unquote service, now you have a brand. But how do you build a brand? So let's talk a little bit about why brands work and what it should mean to you and the way you approach all of your marketing and advertising going forth. The motivation that goes behind your brand, the energy that goes into that, becomes your customer's inspiration to move forward with you. And you have to understand, people buy for emotional reasons, and they justify those purchases with all the intellectual reasons. So they buy from you based on a feeling on the inside, and they use your features and benefits as justification for moving forward with you. But the reason, don't be fooled, is for it comes from a deeper purpose. So let's talk about a couple of examples here. If you don't know who Sam Kinison is, that's the gentleman there on the left. And he worked with master comedian Rodney Dangerfield, but not at first. At first, Rodney Dangerfield was on tour, and he would tour all the comedy clubs throughout the nation, and he would pick the very best to be part of his tour. And he made it a point to come by and visit Sam every time he comes through to see where he was in his growth as a comedian. And he kept having to pass on Sam. And he said, Sam, you've got the skills. You're funny. You've got the talent. But I need a deeper message from you. I need a deeper humor from you. I need something special. And it wasn't until later, until Sam figured that out. And once he did, Rodney says, "You're in." And he came in and he blasted into comedy in the 1980s. He was a really big deal for a long time. He did pass away pretty early, but the point is, Rodney Dangerfield was a businessman, and he understood that if you're going to have impact, you have to touch people at deeper levels. And that's what Sam discovered. So let's talk about the hit song, for example. It doesn't just become a hit, and it's not because it sounds cool or whatever like we think. Why do you like that song? Well, I don't know. It sounds cool. No, that's not what it is. That love song that became the biggest hit, it came to be a hit because somebody, a musician somewhere, had his heart ripped out of his chest. And in the midst of all that, he sat down and he poured it all into this song with these powerful lyrics, and he set it to a mood that supports that and a rhythm that supports that emotion. A heartbreaking song is an emotional ride, and that's what draws us to that song, because we can feel it at a human level. Like humor, music touches people at deeper levels. Maybe you've watched shows like The X Factor or American Idol, and a singer will get up there, like Sam Kinison, has all the talent, and they'll sing that song perfectly. And Simon Cowell or one of the other judges will step up and say, you've got the skills, you've got the talent, you've got the voice, but I just don't believe you. As opposed to one of those contestants that come out and they've got a story, and they usually tell the story on these shows, which is phenomenal, and it's tied to something real in their life, and they're singing this song and tears are streaming down their face, and they're the judges on their feet clapping with all of the audience. Why? Because these judges are also artists, and they understand that if you don't connect with people at the emotional level, you're not going to get the result. Okay, Pete, enough about comedians and songs and American Idol. What about my business? So think about that as people are still people, and emotional connections must be made. So there's no shortcuts to this. And so think about the geeky guy, and he wants to get the beautiful woman to fall in love with him. And he says, hey, tell me a really good pickup line so she'll fall for me, right? Tell me a good line so that my customer will buy my heating and air system. You see, the good pickup line, that could be your truck wrap, I don't know. The good pickup line will only get her attention. But once you have her attention, she's going to analyze everything. She's going to judge you from head to toe. She's going to see your confidence or lack thereof. She's going to see the way your shoes are, the way your watch is, your fingernails, the way you're groomed, the way you smell, the way your clothes hang. She's going to look at all of that, and on a deeper level, one that she can't put her finger on, she's going to pass. Yeah, cool line, kid. I'm moving on. She's looking for something real. So when we think, it's all about the wrap, got to go get a good wrap on that van, right? It's not going to cut it. It will get the attention, and you'll get that first, opportunity. But it's not enough to build long-term relationships and loyalty from customers that are willing to pay a premium for a premium service. My slogan sounds cool. That's your one-liner, okay? My company name is so clever, even though nobody gets it, and I love it. Well, it doesn't really matter that you love it to your customers. You see, what matters is, does it compel them to look at you as a prospective contractor for them, or heating and air conditioning company for them? You see what I'm saying? So that's not enough. And if you don't have all of this together and you start doing advertising, we want to blame the advertising company. Well, they're not getting me good leads. They're not giving me quality leads. And while that's true, there's timing on the leads, there's the quality of the leads, and there's the type of customers that you're appealing to. All of that's important, but it's not their fault. You're going to have to come into your own as an identity that people can connect with at deeper levels. And yes, it works for heating and air conditioning companies as well. Some of the heating and air conditioning business owners out there They are what we call type A. And why are they type A? Well, like so many people that are successful in business, they've overcome some adversity in their life way back. So when Sylvester Stallone auditioned for movie roles, he was rejected over 1,000 times. Imagine that. Instead of auditioning for roles that others created, he decided to create his own role to star in. And that was Rocky, if you know the history, back in 1977. The point here is a lot of people overcome adversity, and it creates a different work ethic within them during their formative years. They're type A. They got to go, got to go, got to go. And they're going to push, and they're going to go, and they're going to push, and they're going to go. And when they're building their business, even though they've hit that level of success where a lot of people will pull back, these guys can't. They're wired differently than you and I. And they're going to go, and they're going to go, and they're going to go. If that is who you are, the workaholic, and you don't have a life, you don't care about anything else, you got to go, well, then maybe you're one of those who have overcome adversity, and you're destined for different things than the rest of us. So if you're type A, you may want to look at these big businesses as your business model that you should follow. But if you're type B, you got a little bit of type B in you, you want to go home at the end of the day. You don't want to spend all the hours, all your free time out on no heat calls and in the middle of the night being pulled out of bed or in the middle of dinner being pulled up from the table. You're looking for a balance. I'm here to tell you, we're going to break the mold with something different because there is a way. So if you're disillusioned as a heating and air conditioning contractor, if you wanted something different than what you've got, then maybe you should pay more attention to this because we're going to go deeper into all of that. So real quick question, the hustler, Luther Morris, he owned a few heating and air vans, something like this right here, heating and air conditioning vans in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I was a technician one time. I ran into him in the parts house, and he was trying to sell Morris Heating and Air. He's going to sell Morris Heating and Air, right? And so, he was talking to me. This was about 2 years before I started my business. At the time, I wasn't probably about 24, 25 years old. I didn't think I was going to be making that step so quick, but I remember him trying to sell the business, and I admired him. He was a hustler. He would talk to anybody and everybody. He was a personality. Now, he was getting a little long in tooth, but so he was ready to turn that over. And he'd go out there, and he had a ton of customers that followed him, right? So he was looking for somebody to sell that business to, and he finally found himself a sucker. And that sucker, quote unquote, you'll get the joke here in a second, his name was Dewey Jenkins. And I met Dewey many years ago because, like I said, he had his business, I had my business. We didn't serve the same markets, but we shared a lot of the same events and things like this. Real quiet accountant. He was actually an accountant, and he bought that business. But he was more than an accountant. This man was a businessman. And more than that, he was an entrepreneur. And so Dewey Jenkins added his last name to Morris Heat and Air, so it's now Morris Jenkins. And today, Dewey's a big, big success. And this is what his brand looks like today. And I'm telling you, it's very consumer engaging. People relate to all of these characters that he puts on his television commercials, on his social media commercial. He creates an emotional connection. And this is what he looks like today. This is not Photoshop. Those are his vans going all the way back. This guy's the real deal. So if you look back at that original picture to the left there, that's Dewey Jenkins with the checkered suit on, happy as can be to get that, $150,000, $200,000 check for his business that he built his life developing and growing, knowing that he got that sucker to buy from him, maybe. And there's Dewey Jenkins smiling, taking his future multi-million-dollar operation in the form of payment as he paid out $150,000, maybe $200,000 to this gentleman. I don't know what he paid. But back then, this would have been about 1988 or so. He got a steal of a deal. It probably wasn't even that much. And so this is what you can do if you are wired this way, if you're an entrepreneur. But is this what you want? Is this who you are? So as you're thinking about your brand and you really want it to stand out, you should consider the words of this gentleman here. His name is Paul Ross. He's a master NLP practitioner, and I had the good fortune of attending his webinar. He was the featured speaker down at an event in Cancun, Mexico, many, many years ago. And he and I know each other as a result. He's a brilliant man. And he taught this one concept, and I'll never forget it. He said, the human mind is drawn to what is different. That's what's going to turn our head. But it always reverts back to what is familiar. And he went on to say, to what is safe and familiar. Okay, so what does this mean? If your human mind is looking for something different, but ultimately they're going to buy from something familiar, how does that work? So the point is, you got to stand out. You have to be familiar. And you have to meet that psychological contrast in order to have a boom of an effect. Okay? So here's an example here of a company. This is Ken Goodrich's company. I think this particular one is Vegas. He's got several locations. So Ken's a big success story. If you don't know him, he's written a couple of books. I think with the E-Myth, he had an HVAC version of that. Brilliant, brilliant guy. So he has this wrap, and I think KickCharge did this. They do a great job. But here was his story. When he was a little boy, he would go help his dad on service calls and things like this. And he got really excited because he got to spend time with Dad. You know how it is when you're a little boy at that age. And so his job was to hold the flashlight, right? So he'd hold the flashlight and Dad would do the work, and that's how it all began. So when he started his business, he became a human being to other people. And what this did is his story would draw attention. This is a great rap, okay? People can identify with this, especially if they've heard his story. So a lot of people will do a billboard or a vehicle wrap or something big, and they're trying to get the customer to buy from them. That's their ultimate goal. But if you look at Ken's story here, Ken's already told his story. What his wrap is, it's a reminder. Oh, it's the guy who started out helping his dad when he was a little boy. That's the impact. It's the other way around. He's not leading with a sales pitch. He's reminding everybody with his story. And if somebody's never seen this before, it still gets their attention. And then if they go to any of his websites or social media and they see his story, well, see, now they can connect at a human level and it becomes familiar. Now, the story is just one way of going about that. But before you dig into this too deeply, here's something that I want you to really consider, especially if you're a young business. Arnold Schwarzenegger was arguably one of the greatest bodybuilders in his time, and he built his body for one purpose: competition. To be the best, to have the best body, the best arms, the best waist, the best thighs, the best calves, back, the whole 9 yards. He was building for something huge. Now, what most people don't understand is the time that goes into building that type of a body. It's literally a lifestyle. He's up early. He takes in these massive amount of calories. He's at the gym all day long. He gets a break. He eats more calories. He goes back to the gym, and he repeats. He lives for that gym experience. That's who he is. And the trade-off for that is that lifestyle is who he is. That's what he does. That's who he is. That's the life that he's built for himself. Now consider yourself. Maybe you want to be like Arnold Schwarzenegger, but are you willing to give up your life? Are you willing to give up your home life? Are you willing to live up your social time, your church time, maybe just your gaming time? What is it that you like to do when you get off? Can there be a workout for you that builds you the body that you need, or in our case, that builds you the business that you need, but done in such a way that it gives you the free time that you want? And I know that you're overwhelmed right now. If you're the disillusioned contractor, if you're the struggling disillusioned contractor, and you're putting in the long hours and you're not looking forward to those on-call nights. Here comes the cold winter. You know all your weekends are going to be doing this. I'm here to tell you there's a different way. The next generation HVAC entrepreneur is a byproduct of the HVAC X Factor, and we are going to break some molds here. Now, I'm not saying that the business model that's out there that's built these big organizations, that it doesn't serve a purpose, because they do. Those type of people are special people. But we're not going to achieve that level of success if we only spend so much time in the gym. If you want to dedicate your life to something, if you're wanting to be something at that level, well, good for you, go get it. But if you are the type of person that has a little bit of that type B in you, and you want your personal time, you want your family time, you want time to go do what you enjoy, and you don't want to be owned by your customers' lack of proactivity with taking care of their equipment. You know how that is. We'll get into that later on a different session, because all of this, the brand is one thing. All of this is built on something bigger. It is very fundamental, and it's very powerful. But the brand has to be in place for this to work. We'll talk about some of the other stuff later, but here are some of the elements that you need in branding. You're going to have a key message, your core message. And if it has a humanistic element to it, or if it's unforgettable at the human level, you're onto something. And if you take that key message and you create a unique marketing position, yeah, you can go get heating and air from anybody, but you can only get this from your company. And it's something desirable, get this, you got to hear this part, to the right customer. Well, you don't want all the customers out there, to the right customer. If you can create a key message and position yourself different in your market, you're going to get the right eyes looking at you. You're going to start hearing less and less of those conversations of, well, you know, the other company would do it for this amount. It's the same equipment. The other company only charged me that. Well, we're not the other company, and we lead with that. These are a higher level or higher caliber customer. Doesn't matter what zip code they're in, they're looking for something more. And if you know how to communicate this, it's very powerful. And of course, you have the story, and that's what our buddy Ken Goodrich did over at Gettle Heating and Air, which is awesome. We have your why. We have your promise or your compelling offer. And we wrap all of that up into a personality. You'll have your own brand personality with your own brand voice. It's your signature sound, somebody once said. A friend of mine was talking about the signature sound of the bands out there. You ever hear one of your favorite bands sing a new song you've never heard before, and you know who's singing it because they've got that signature sound, but it's just a different song? That's what that is. You need a signature sound if you're going to cut through the clutter and the noise and the racket of heating and air contractors that's out there and be heard. And the sound needs to say something. And the something that you're saying, it needs to go deeper. And it needs to contain your values, those deeper purposes within you that your customers share with you and can connect with. Then you direct this to your target market. We call that your customer avatar. So this is pretty much how all of this falls together. Here's an example of what branding should look like. Yeah, at the bottom there, you have your visual identity. That's your wrap and your logos and all that cool stuff. Then you have your brand expression, the way it's communicated and everything else, and everything that goes on top of that. But it all stems from your core message. Do you have a core message? Are you saying something different? Are you standing out? Do you have a unique marketing position? You need to stay tuned. We're going to have some really groundbreaking stuff. Guys, we're turning this baby up. We're going to replace the disillusioned HVAC contractor and replace him with the next generation HVAC entrepreneur. Stay tuned. Pete Ramsey, I'm out. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.